WLTX breaking news now.
We have some breaking news as a news conference about the fire and police department over in the capital city happening right now. All of this regarding a fire that took place last night, leaving 3 children hurt. And we are being told no adults or guardians were there. Let's go ahead and take a look.
First of all, rescue truck kind of normally they go and they do a search, and our engine company come right behind them. And start doing a search in his home, and they encountered three children that they was able to get out. So we was able to get them out. The fire got knocked down pretty quick, and the rescue was just a class act on the part of our firefighters as they went in and searched to make sure that no one was in there. Obviously, like I said, when they got inside, they discovered there were 3 people on the inside, and they got them out immediately and began to give them care through EMS. So right now, although we're investigating this fire, we have not determined exactly how this fire started at this time. We do know the area of origin. We know where it started, but at this point, because of the circumstance, we want to be sure on the cause of why this fire started. Not sure about any type. We didn't hear any type of smoke alarms going off. So I'm not sure if they had active smoke alarms or not. So kind of where we are right now, the house suffered significant damages on the inside, particularly in the front part of it. Smoke damage throughout the house. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Where did the fire start?
The fire started in the front part of the house. In the front part of the house. However, when we found the children, they were actually in the back part of the house, in and around the bedroom.
Can you kind of detail the rescue efforts as this could have been deadly?
Well, had they not got in as quick as they did, or if there was any type of time delay, it could have been worse. So they did get in pretty quick. They did the search pretty quick. The other thing to note is that they actually had a forced entry into the house because the house was not open. So they had to actually, force entry into the house in order to get to the fire, not knowing that we had somebody on the inside.
Was it just the 3 children in the house, or was there more people?
We didn't see anybody else in the house when we got here. The only people that we saw was the 3 children that were taken out of the house. So we didn't see any adults at all, and we never encountered any adults the whole time we was out here.
And what were the conditions of the children? How did they find you? Were they okay? It seemed to be. I know they got medically checked out.
Well, obviously they had to have medical treatment, so they got transported to the hospital, and from the hospital they actually got sent down to Augusta to the burn center. So I'm not sure about any burns. I know they did get a lot of smoke inhalation inside themselves, but I'm not sure about exactly what type of burns they had.
Do we know who called? Who called? Was the children the one that called 911?
I don't think that the children called 911.
What were the ages of the children? The ages.
Chief Keller would talk about that.
And did you mention? You may have mentioned this. Did you mention a cause or a possible cause?
Well, again, we don't know. We kind of got an idea, but we want to make sure that we're methodical, making sure that we kind of check our boxes before we actually come out and say that it happened this way. Again, we do know the area where it happened, so we do know that, but exactly the cause of the fire at this point, we just want to make sure we check our boxes.
Would you say it's an area not typically to start a fire? Like have a fire start there?
I would say yes. That's safe to say. Particularly where we saw it at, it ordinary would start there.
Can you talk about your emotional reaction, just learning the details, knowing that these kids were unsupervised in the home and rescued?
Well, I was outraged because these are innocent kids, and somebody should have been there to take care of these kids and not leave them in that state. Like I said, I was outraged, and I'm glad I didn't see the parents last night because it just wasn't a good moment for nobody. Our firefighters were upset. The law enforcement was upset. I mean, because these are innocent kids, and you just don't leave kids alone like that. So I'm just glad that we'll see what happens.
Were all of the children responsive?
They were. It's almost like they were limp because I thought they did breathe in a lot of smoke. So I know they were in a kind of critical condition when they were transported. However, I think because of the quick reaction and the quick search of our firefighters, and also the care that EMS gave these kids, gave them a fighting chance.
Now, I apologize. You probably answered this again. What time was it again when you guys?
This call came in somewhere around 9:30 last night.
How long did it take you guys to put out the fire?
The fire, once we got here, it was very little effort. We went straight to the fire. We was able to put it out. Like quickly, in a matter of minutes, we was able to put that fire out. So it didn't spread in that back room where the kids were. So, if anything that was suffered, they would suffer from the smoke, from smoke, and also the heat. But the actual fire, no, the fire did not get back there. But the heat can travel, and it can burn you even if you're not directly touching the flames.
I know you mentioned that you didn't hear any fire alarms. Any words that you can kind of just alert the community about making sure they keep up with their fire alarms?
I think it's important to make sure you have a working smoke alarm because if you're in the event of a fire, that is going to tell you, hey, I got a fire. I got a fire. So we want to make sure everybody have a working smoke alarm. It's important.
At the conclusion of the fire, we started a criminal investigation. Of course, there were no parents on scene, no adults on scene. 6, 4, and 2 years old. Those are the ages of the children that the heroic firefighters found inside. Just moments ago, we took into custody Ms. Zaina Oden. We're charging her with 3 counts of child endangerment. We had knowledge that she was in the area. Even after knowing what had happened here, she still did not contact law enforcement. She still didn't contact family members. So she's in jail where she needs to be. As a parent, these are the calls that you remember. We are speaking with one of the biological fathers of one of the 3 children, and so those interviews are ongoing. We expect that more charges may be coming. I can tell you that all 3 are still in critical condition down in Augusta. We're working with the State Law Enforcement Division, Fire Marshal's Office, and of course the Columbia Fire Department as we work our way through this investigation. Could have been a whole lot worse, and again, as a parent, these are the calls that you always remember. She deserves to be in jail, and I will be at her bond setting to make sure she stays there. Again, even after knowing what occurred here on last night, she still didn't contact law enforcement, still didn't contact family. That sends a message to me as a police officer that there was little regard for her own children. These kids were absolutely defenseless against the flames and the smoke. So we're going to make sure that she stands to be judged in the court of law.
And where was she located?
She was located not even a mile away from here. She tried to evade officers on the site. She was taken into custody quickly after that. Not even a mile away from. I don't have the exact location, but just across Farrell Road. And she was in the general area.
So where was she last night?
We do not know. We do not. We just took her into custody probably right at about 1:45, 2 o'clock.
And I'm assuming she lived here by herself, just with the kids.
All indications are that she did, but that's a part of the investigation as well. We'll sift through every piece of evidence in the house.
Just want to clarify, this is mom.
Yeah, this is the mother. Yes, she is 28 years old. Mother of 3. Zaina Oden. I will put out the her data information as well. She is in the process of being interviewed and booked and taken to Alvin S. Glenn Detention Center. She'll probably have a bond setting on tomorrow afternoon.
Any prior run-ins with her?
Not that we're aware of. That we can check into that. I didn't know of any criminal history that I was told before I went on camera.
Did any family come at all to the scene?
We were in the process of identifying family. No one approached us last night. We followed up some even mail that we found in the mailbox. We were trying our best. Firefighters were here probably the better parts of 4 hours. No one came to the scene. Even this morning, into the late morning, no one came to identify themselves. We were able to, just good old-fashioned police work, identify some folks that knew this family. The word went out that we were looking for her and one of the biological fathers, and we're interviewing him. He contacted law enforcement. She did not. She actually tried to evade law enforcement. So we're putting her in jail, and that's where she needs to be.
Now,
Are there any chances for her to get additional charges?
We're looking at that too. The conditions of the house prior to this were deplorable. So there were some living conditions here that should have been addressed as well. So we're working with our Department of Social Services to see what interventions they could provide or have provided in the past as a part of the larger investigation. And we'll be putting together a package for our Fifth Circuit solicitor so we can levy the best charges that we can.
we see some of the investigators with the hazmat
Yeah.
suits. So what type of things are they kind of encountering?
Just bad living conditions. Bad living conditions. And it hurts me to say that as a dad. Bad living conditions. 6, 4, and 2 years old.
Will the children be released to their family members?
No, they will not. They'll be taken into emergency protective custody through the Department of Social Services.
And all three of these are her
These are
biological.
her biological children.
And do we know if they have different biological fathers?
They do. We have identified, again, one of the biological fathers. We're speaking with him.
What are the degree of the burns on the children? Is it first, second, or third degree?
Not significant burns that we could tell just preliminarily, but there's some serious smoke inhalation. Had to be flown to Augusta last night.
Have you ever seen anything like this compared to?
Unfortunately, not in the space of burning, but we just arrested 2 parents last week. Child killed just 5 blocks up the road on Middleton Street that we took into custody and charged. Homicide by child abuse. These are not easy calls.
Has the father that you've contacted, has he been cooperative? Or?
So far, yes. He's been absolutely cooperative.
Are there any chances for the father to be charged?
We're still early in the investigation. We don't know. But again, cooperative, came in, spoke with law enforcement. That's what you want in situations like this. Totally defenseless kids. We've even reached out to other family members that we're finding throughout the investigation just to kind of see what was going on with the kids.
Aside from the smoke inhalation, could you describe what the condition of the kids were? Did they look like they were well taken care of? Or?
There are some challenges there as well. We're looking into that. We're going to work with our charge notes, documented everything, and I could just say that's part of the investigation, but there's other factors that we're addressing too. It's part of the larger case, not just the fire itself, but there's some extenuating circumstances that we discovered once we made entry into the house post-fire.
Can you just, in a nutshell, I know you kind of said it throughout your statements here, but what can convey the emotions as you look at this case, and I think you said you were a father yourself?
You try to be hardened as a public safety professional, but some things get to you. They always do. These calls. Anytime you have a situation dealing with young people who are absolutely innocent, defenseless, it pulls at your heartstrings, but you got to push through. Hats off to not only the firefighters, but my special victims unit, who just wrapped up a homicide by child abuse investigation. They came right back out here last night to do a similar type of investigation, and it wears on you. So we provide that officer wellness for them, for all of us who need it. But that's a part of the job. We signed up for this to make life better for the most innocent among us, most defenseless. But we should be able to provide an update by 6 o'clock of the exact charges that we're levying, bond setting time, preliminary incident report, things of that nature. But I can assure you that we're going to fight as hard as we can to make sure that she stays in jail. Thank y'all.
I want to say one more thing. I just want to reiterate one thing you talked about, the living conditions on the inside. They were absolutely horrible. I mean, we talking about big roaches, cockroaches, an army of roaches on the inside that was all over the place and getting all over these kids. So I just want to reiterate that as well.
A heartbreaking press conference that we have just received there from the Columbia Richland Fire Chief as well as the Columbia Police Department, all involving 3 children who were left alone during a house fire. We have learned that their mother has now been arrested, and we are also learning that all 3 of these children, 6, 4, and 2 years old, have now been transported to the Augusta Burn Center in critical condition for smoke inhalation. Again, just want to break down, if you're just joining us, what we have learned so far from officials. First, we started with the Columbia Richland Fire Department. They said that this fire happened last night at around 9:30. However, it was quickly extinguished. They said it started in the front of the house, and then because of the heat and the smoke, that's when it pushed into the back room. And that's where officials say all 3 of those children were. They said that the heat was incredibly hot. It wasn't the flames that moved to the back, but of course that smoke inhalation and just the heat. But the fire itself started in the front of the house. Again, the fire chief going into detail saying that there were 3 children that were found in that house fire. That's where firefighters went in, quickly extinguished the flames. That's where they saw the 3 kids. The kids were then hospitalized and then were eventually transported to Augusta for into their burn unit. Now, according to the fire chief, they said that there was no word exactly how it started. However, they can say that he did not hear any smoke alarms going off, and they did not know if the smoke alarms were active. That's why the fire chief, Aubrey Jenkins, really pushing everybody to make sure that their fire alarms are working. Again, he did say that there was significant damage to the front part of the home, but the children were in the back near the bedroom, and that's why they had to do forced entry, because according to officials, the house itself was locked at the time and only those 3 kids were inside. Again, no adults were found during this time. As of right now, we do not know who exactly called 911, but Chief Jenkins really saying that these were just 3 innocent kids, going on to say, quote, "You do not leave these kids alone, and we are going to be seeing what happens," saying that they did breathe in a lot of smoke and they are in critical condition. Then again, this is where we got all the details from the Columbia Police Department. 6, 4, and 2 years old. Those are the ages of the 3 children that were found alone in this home during this house fire. They have learned just a bit ago they were able to arrest the mother, Miss Oden, 28 years old, with 3 counts of child endangerment. According to the law enforcement officials, they said that Miss Oden was actually in the area after knowing about the house fire. And according to law enforcement, she never contacted them about it. Again, as we mentioned, the 3 kids are in critical condition. And the police department there saying, quote, "She deserves to be in jail. I will make sure that she stays in there." That was a direct quote from there in the police department. Again, we are continuing to follow the very latest. Zana Oden, 28 years old. That is the mother's name there, Zana Oden. They also said she was found less than a mile away from this home in the Faro Road area, and then she was taken into custody this afternoon. It is indicated that she did live in that home, but that part is still being part of that investigation. They are saying that bond will possibly be tomorrow. We should be getting that update at around 6 o'clock. As of this point, the police department is right now identifying more family members, but they really urged in this press conference that nobody approached them last night and into this morning to identify themselves or who these children belong to. They said that they had to do police work and they had to look into finding the biological mother and father. They were able to find out one of the biological fathers, who they say is now being questioned. No word yet on if that man is going to be charged with anything as of this point. But they did confirm to us in this press conference that Miss Oden did try to invade law enforcement because she was less than a mile away when questioned, tried to evade, and did not contact law enforcement about this fire and about her children. They're saying that there could possibly be more charges pending with Miss Oden in the future. We did also ask what is going to be happening to this 6, 4, and 2-year-old children. We can confirm that these kids will not be released to their family. They will then be in DSS custody, the Department of Social Services, for now. We did hear that there was a series of smoke inhalation. That's why they were flown in. And he also really ended that these are not easy calls to make. He said that it is important to document every single thing that happened with the condition of the children. He also mentioned, as we wrapped up this press conference, that the house itself was in what he's calling deplorable condition. So he says that we're going to be getting more information about that. But again, social services has been contacted, so they're going to be working with them on this. Now, the police department did mention we should be getting an update in about 3 hours from now about this fire and the more details about the 28-year-old mother, Miss Oden, as well as any more details about the children. We appreciate you following us for this breaking news coverage. We are going to have much more details and, of course, follow up on that update that we're expecting at 6 o'clock. both on air and online at WLTX.com. Again, we want to thank you all so much for joining us here for this breaking news coverage, and stay safe out there.